I don't often do videos naked or shirtless, but when I do, it's for a reason. And this reason today is a band from France saying that they play Australian kind of stuff. Sounds peculiar, but let's be honest about it. We all know what's going on with this band called Overdrivers. If you mentioned Aussie rock, you pretty much know what to expect. Now this is the non-metal review of the week because, well, for a reason. That is, this is kind of a metallic, but let's be honest about it, it's mostly rock. And even the title says it all. It's Rock Out. Three-song EP of sorts. Very, very simple, in and out kind of a thing. Now, first of all, I'm not quite sure why this band even wanted to be featured on the channel, considering it's not metal, but then again, I've gotten used to releases which are not exactly metal by nature. That is, you have ambient, you have power electronics, you have synthwave, and of course you have rock and roll. And that's why we have these non-metal days for Rauta as well. It's every now and then it's pretty cool to visit other genres beyond metal. Now this is actually really, really good, considering that there's absolutely nothing original with this one. You have AC/DC and you have Airborne, both coming from, Australia and doing their stuff in only the way that only Australians can do it. I mean, you have the AC/DC, really simple, groovy rocking stuff, and you have the vocals, which are kind of a raspier end of rock and roll, and not so much like typical clean version of singing. Then you have Airborne, which is like younger version of AC/DC, kind of a more aggressive in a way, also a little bit kind of a more stupid, but I like them more. And there is certain kind of good vibe, good feeling with both of these bands. I never got too much into AC/DC, but given they have some solid tracks, and Airborne, it's one of my driving bands. When you just want to chill out during the summer, go to your car, put your arm out at the window, and just like start driving, man. It gets you sweaty just by listening to that. It makes you want more beer. And that's exactly the same reason what Overdrivers is doing. I mean, it's the same thing really. But these guys are not from Australia, but from France. France is not exactly used to know by bands like this. I mean, they don't do sweaty stuff. They don't do music that makes you drink. Well, at least in my opinion. I mean, France has good bands, but they're mostly operating in a very, very different territory. Anyway, here it is. And for a reason that this band is not, as far as I know, on Metal Archives. I mean, it's more rock and roll rather than metal. But let's be honest about it. AC/DC and Airborne has very, very metallic thing going on, and maybe they are even more metallic. Now, where this band actually differs from these two Australian names, even though the riffs are quite similar and the overall groove is very, very much like that, they have clean vocals, which in my opinion fits the music very, very well. And it's actually quite refreshing to hear the kind of the same feeling, same take on things, but now with clean vocals. Now, there's not really much to be said about a release which features only 3 tracks. As you can see, I'm a little bit ahead of the schedule here. Here it says like it's going to be out 9th of July in France, of course. And I'm actually doing this at the end of June, but be it as may, this really won't be out until the EP is already out. And this is just 3-track EP, and the site is full of information, but only in French, which is kind of a letdown. Somebody needs to translate this for fans outside it. But even though these guys can look goofy and they have selected this kind of a goofy cover image, it's not, in my opinion, to ruin the experience. This is just like basically going to that kind of Australian mood. This French twist is basically nothing more but these clean vocals. These guys are so good in what they're doing, or more like copying, that I wouldn't mind if these guys were actually, warming up either of these more bigger bands. But also, that is a downside of this thing. There is nothing exactly new here. Then again, you've used to it with so many death metal bands copying whatever pioneers you have in the genre. You have so many black metal bands copying Burzum and Darkthrone and Bathory and etc. So can we really blame these guys? I mean, every genre has basically the same thing going on. You find some cool bands and you start copying and repeating the same kind of patterns. But for me, this kind of a thing works. I don't mind if it's not original at all. This makes me want to have more beer and get more tan and get out. Perfect album for getting yourself shirtless. So in case you wonder what to do, what to think about it, well, tune yourself for AC/DC and Airborne, wavelength. Get yourself a cold drink and get out. This is music for the summertime. If you don't mind it, well, then you don't. But I will say, give it a shot. Thanks for checking out this review. Take care, my friends, and see you soon with more non-metal reviews coming your way.